everyone. So today, before we start, let me introduce first myself. My name is Maureen Afsky, B.Ed second year. So today discussion, we discuss about the formative assessment for learning. So these assessments is also have a provides ongoing day-to-day feedback for the teacher regarding the following. So the first objectives that we have for today is all about the identifying where to focus students' attentions and effort and encourage progress and achievement of goals. And the second one is monitoring of student learning, identifying areas of growth or concern and providing descriptive feedback. And the third one is identifying the effectiveness of instructions and programming in order to modify and adjust it as necessary. So, first we have the first questions that what do I want my student to learn? So, how we see um, how the student what the student though is want my student to learn is that the curriculum expectations overall and specific. So this questions is also talks that supports the students in inclusions, so emotional disturbance by their very nature and make it difficult for people to build or maintain satisfactory in the interpersonal relationship. So we just also need to set the clear behavior rules and expectation for the entire class, and we also recognize the student to accomplishment. And what evidence will I look for to know that learning that occur? So we also have the mathematical progress expectations, knowledge and understanding, thinking, applications, and communications. So in these questions is that we also learning that occurs when we are able to gain the mental or physical grasp of subject, make sense of a subject, event, or feelings by interpreting it into our own words or actions. Use our newly acquired ability or knowledge in conjunctions with skills and understanding we already possess. So, what learning opportunities should I provide to promote learning? So, this is a teaching strategies ba, the opportunities ba, the experience ba, or resources. So, in these questions is that um, it also are reminding student to look at the speaker and providing opportunities to practice restating and ask clarifying questions will help students to develop. So the the next one is what are the most appropriate methods of assessments assessing students' learning? So first one is we have the personal communications, paper and pencil tasks, performance tasks, and observations. So the personal communication one of the semester course that teaches students how to become a effective verbal and nonverbal expressions. So the paper and the pencil task, that is also the second one of this question, and the third one is that the performance task. So a performance task is any learning activities or assessment that ask student to perform to demonstrate their knowledge, understanding, and proficiency. Performance tasks yield in tangible product and or performance that serve as evidence of learning. And the last is the observations. So observations is also performing a student observation is a powerful teaching or technique to understand what the student knows and what he and she could do could to improve. Finding time to observe students may seem difficult, but just 2 minutes of observation can yield sufficient information to provide valuable con constructive feedback. So the next one is that how could I record or document significant assessments informations. So in this part is it is taught as an accountability. So records in the assessments is very essential in education system. Information cycle. This is because of the important role of these records in the process of efficient information productions. So um, the assessment records are a vital source of accountability. This is because they are provide evidence. So, what conclusions? What conclusions can be made from assessments? So, we actually says yes because what conclusion can be made from assessment. So we actually say is that because conclusion is one of the most important topic and how student can generally know what they have already know. So the next is what do I want my student to learn. So it is a big ideas, additions and subtractions. So, what evidence will I look for know that learning has occurred? So, mathematical process expectation. So, the problem solving. So, in the problem solving is that students should also now know or how to practice the problem solving, because in this way students should come up what the best what the best output that she or he did, and also the representing. So throughout the representing the things that they have done and show how students are become to show his and her uh, in her output in front of their classmates. And also the communications. So the communications is that students should also need to be having a communications that for us to know how they being unite as one as a good commitment to other and to teacher in his and her teachers and classmates. So the next, what learning opportunity should I provide to promote learning? So as we can see the pictures is that uh in this question is that we also have a modeling problem solving process and cooperative learning, manipulative and made available. And the next one, what are the most appropriate method of assessing student learning? So as we can see in the pictures that we have shown, is that obviously that the pig is bigger than the chicken. So this picture shows that the teacher is bigger than the student. So the teacher should also the source of the learning of the student, and the teacher who handling the student to come up a lot of knowledge that they need to um come up as a student also. So the next is how should I record or document significant assessment is information. As I have said is that the record is assessment are very essential in an education system information cycle. This is because of the important role of this record in the process of efficiency and information's product. Assessments record are the vital source of accountability. This is because they are provide evidence. So what conclusion can be made from assessment? So as I have said, the conclusion that student is needed is to generally know what they want to know. So teachers assessment. So have you see there's a chicken. How many chicken there is? There's a 7 chicken and the 14 legs of the chicken. So the student has difficulty understanding the problem, misread the questions, omitted information, 22 legs, or selecting appropriate problem solving strategies and inference from assessment. So the student may have difficulty identifying important information when reading problems or lack a strategy for selecting a appropriate problem solving strategy. So next is instructional step. So the teacher models the problem solving process. The teacher reads and rereads the problems aloud, underlining important informations and crossing out extraneous information. So the teacher's prompts the student restate the problem in his and her own words. So the teachers also model how to develop a plan to solve the problem. So suggesting appropriate tools and strategies. So the teacher uses questions and cue to prompt the student. So the teachers also ask the student to explain his and her thinking to determine whether he and she understand the problem. So the teacher assessment is a grade 5 student has difficult remembering the order of the step when using the standard long division algorithm. And inference from the assessment is based on the observations. What inference can you make about this student? So these students is are focusing her studies that to improve his knowledge in studying to come up a lot of knowledge and to improve his mind for learning. In inference from assessment, so the student may not understand at the conceptual level the procedure for long divisions. So which of these two fractions is large, 2 over 3 or 3 over 2? Yes, of course, the 3 over 2. So explain how you would decide which of these two fractions is large, 2 over 3 or 3 over 2. Use drawing and words. So we also have the feedback. So the feedback is the telling whether response is correct or incorrect. So the teacher should also provide the feedback for his student. And the second one is the informing the learner of the correct answers. And the third one is explaining what is accurate and inaccurate. And the third one is explaining what is accurate and inaccurate. And the fourth one is asking the learner to keep working on a task until he and she succeeds. And the time also, the timing of feedback. So the feedback also have a telling whether response is correct or incorrect. So this is a negative effect. Okay, so this is a negative effect daw. So the telling whether response is correct or incorrect. So informing the learner of the correct answers and explaining what is accurate and inaccurate, asking the learners. So this is also the same. So the feedback. Students who are given comments only rather than marks or marks and comments make more gains, achievements, and feel more positive about the experience. About sabi daw ni Butler 1998. So the student also will know the numerical score and the no grade necessary for formative tasks, right and wrong, and anecdotal feedback. So the feedback also the general needs more practice. The specific focus is to identify what is done well and what needs improvement and how to get there. So So using the rubric code of the students is exemplar. So this is the things that how to measure or how to know that the level of the learning of the students is deserved to gain a higher scores if when we were doing their activities in the classroom. So what code is this? So Ethan, so there's some questions here, so some necessary activities here. So the Ethan serves 11 quarters. So what want to buy a book that codes 5 to 25 pesos. So student demonstrates annotation. So the student demonstrates some understand of the relationship between important elements of the problem. Shows 11 quarters equals and that's so on. So the gathering formative information. So first one is that the analyze student written work, observe student as they work on learning tasks and conduct conversations with students about their learning. So we also have the planning of instructions. We have also the planning for instruction, planning for assessment, and have we can see the first one that who lead the student to get learning a lot is the two instructional activities and the assessment teacher self peer and the feedback. So after the feedback, the student also adjusts the instructions to be to move into the instructional activities, and also in the right is that adjust learning focus. So this is the teacher response and the student also the response. The teacher response is to adjust instructions and the student response is adjust learning focus. So summative assessment of learning. So the first one is the usually carried out at the end of a unit term, semester, or year. So the second one is inform teacher formal judgments about student achievement to be used in reporting. And the third one is help confirm what students know and can do and whether they have achieved the curriculum expectations. And the summative assessment is examples, interviews, problem solving, situations, performance tasks, and paper pencil test. So this is the some examples of the summative assessment in learning strategy. So the evaluations. So the evaluation is the summative process of first one is to judging the quality of student work on the basis of previously established criteria, and the last one is assigning a value, letter, or percentage grade to represent that quality. So what to do if a student response don't follow a logical pattern? So first is that we realize that no assessment can ever provide perfectly accurate data about a assessment. And the second one is drop some items because they are deemed to be invalid and rethink the classifications of specific items and meeting individually with student. So the evaluation is also decide early which assessments will form the basis for grades and which will be used in a formative way. And the second one is compare student performance against criteria and standards. And the third one though is also the student is no single measures will give you all the information you need. And the fourth one is communication, your explicit expectations about both quantity and quality to student and involve student in the selections progress. And assessment of AS learning. So focuses of this assessment is learning is focuses on the active involvement of the student in the assessment of their own learning. And the second one is students personally monitor their own learning and use the feedback to adjust or adapt their understanding. And the third one is emphasize student and critical assessors who can use metacognitions in the self-assessment process. So we also let's review about the previous topic on or about the diagnostic assessment for learning. This assessment have to determine entry entry points, and formative assessments for learning is assessment have to promote learning and progress, and the summative assessment of learning is assessment reflects student achievement of a given time in a specific context at the end of the year to determine placement of program. So receive the assessment, so knowing what is ingredients you already have and may require to make excellent soup, that diagnostic. And the second, when the cook tastes the soup, that formative. So you just like kung paano halimbawa is that you cook some different foods or something, that so, and if you taste this soap or even some foods, is that it's called a formative daw. And when the guest tastes the soup, that's, and then when you already serve that soup and the guests are already taste it, that's called a summative. So when they think is good or bad, that is the evaluation. Just like how the teachers given some activities in your classroom, and then after the teachers given everything activities or learnings that given by the teachers, and then we should know, or we should know the result of the student. If the student are really listening to the teachers that teacher have present from the different activities and etc, so we can see it throughout the evaluations. And that's all for today discussions. So this is Marin and this is my discussion about the summative assessment. Thank you. That's all.